What's up, Husker Nation? I'm Coach Brenton Emanuel. I'm assistant coach here at the University of Nebraska. I coach Brenton hurdles. I'm here with Darius Luff, the national champion in the 110 hurdles for the 2024 outdoor season. We're going to break down his races from this season, starting off with Florida relays. So the first race here, talking about coming out of the blocks. Usually, some people 7-step, some 8-step. In Darius's case, he takes 8 steps to the first hurdle. We'll play a little bit and let Darius kind of critique what he's doing into that first hurdle.
In this race, it was a pretty good reaction. I think my hips were good. They were high enough into that first hurdle. As you'll see, I come off of one. I end up hitting that second hurdle with my trail leg. The hips might have dropped off the first hurdle, but overall that was a good reaction and a good start.
So the key thing for the men's hurdles especially, they're 42 inches high. We want to make sure that our hips are up high because if you sink low, typically you'll have to jump it, and we don't want to jump hurdle a lot. I know that a lot of people use that context of jumping the hurdle. That's not what a hurdle coach wants to hear, but it's jumping the hurdle. You want to hear executing or just hurdling the hurdle. So like you said, the hips were pretty high there. Looking pretty good. Oh, man. Overall, he's doing fairly well. At this point in the season, he's still trying to figure out, we're coming off indoors. So indoors is only 5 hurdles. Now we're going to 10. So our endurance is not probably as good as it could be going into that outdoor season. You look here, he's in the mix with Jacoby Thorpe, the NCAA runner-up from Auburn outdoors. And in this race, Jacoby got the best of Darius by thousandths of a second. So it wasn't very much, but it was enough to give him the dub. So. All right, in our second clip here, we're at Drake Relays. This is one of Darius's probably breakout race of the year. Ran at the time his PB of 13:25. Personally, I was watching the race, getting in the stands on the opposite side of the track, and I had a feeling right before the race he was going to drop something nasty. In this race, they're all professional athletes. There's no collegiate athletes in this race, so it was a big opener for him, but also a big eye-opening for the world to see he's on that type of level. So here, again, we're talking about keeping his hips high to the first hurdle, pushing for 8 steps. I think he does a good job as he gets into the first hurdle. Would you agree, Darius?
Yeah, I would say this was a pretty good start.
So the second hurdle is looking fairly well, moving fairly well into the hurdle. Big thing for us we look at is where that trail leg hits underneath us. So his trail leg is on this side right here. We want to make sure that trail leg hits underneath our body. So if you look at when he gets off this hurdle, if he sees where it hits, if it's out in front of him, typically he'll lose some momentum and speed, and then into the next hurdle he'll get a little further away, and so he'll have to work harder to get back in rhythm of the hurdles. But I think in this race, Darius does a good job of getting that trail underneath him and being very fluid. As you can tell, the trail hits right underneath his body, center of mass. We're good. He's done a good job in the next hurdle. So at this point, what are you thinking, Darius? You're about hurdle 4 or 5 right there going into it. Feeling pretty.
I mean, I was pretty nervous for this race, but I was excited, and at that point in the race, I could kind of realize that I was in the lead, and I had to just hold my speed and get through all 10 because I had my family watching and everything, so I was pretty excited to win an all-professional race.
In the hurdles, you look at a lot of other guys are knocking down hurdles. For the most part, coaching Darius and watching him race over the past couple of years, he's a very clean hurdler. He's very efficient with how he moves his body in between the hurdles and also on top of the hurdles. And through this race, he runs 13:25. At that time, it was number 5 in the world and then number 1 in the nation.
Underdog in the ring. Final throw in round 5. He's the big leader at 22:12. Here's your high hurdle. Darius Luff, the collegian from Nebraska. Luff and Murray. Darius.
This third clip is from Big Ten Outdoors at the University of Michigan. Kind of funny note about this race, Darius broke the state record for fastest time ever ran on Michigan soil. And this race is probably one of his more sloppier races he's probably ever had. A couple of things are going on there. Training-wise, we're in a block where we're about to start our peak in the next training session or next over the next block of training in the next 4 weeks. And so he's running really fast now. His speed level is probably as fast as it's ever been. So he's kind of sloppy trying to get his form back together. At the same time, we talk about being efficient over the hurdle. So a lot of times as a coaching cue, I tell the hurdlers I want their lead leg right over the triangle that's in the middle of the hurdle. You guys can't see it on this side of it because it's on the back side of the hurdle, but there's a triangle right in the middle. And that's a good indication, or indicator for them. Get that lead leg right to that triangle and snap it down. And this race for Darius is probably, like I said, is one of his more sloppier races he's probably ever had. He gets the job done, so don't get worried about that. The job gets done. But we want to make sure that he is, this is a good learning lesson for both of us as a coach and as an athlete. So I'll let Darius kind of talk through what happened on the first couple 8 steps.
You can go slow-mo. So we talked about the hips to the first hurdle. This is an example right here of not having your hips all the way up. You can see I completely knocked down that first hurdle. So in the other clips, my hips were higher and I got taller into my last couple steps of my 8 steps into the first hurdle. Here on this one, I kind of come out low, and then that causes me to completely knock down that first hurdle, which kind of threw things off. And not being able to get your hips up in that beginning causes problems later in the race. So in this race, if you can go back to the second and third hurdle. Here, because I never got up in the beginning, my hips were continuing to stay low, so it was a lot harder to push through the hurdles and get the push I needed to, which causes that trail leg to look kind of long in the beginning part.
You can kind of tell as he's getting off the hurdle, his shoulders are kind of turning a little bit because his trail leg's getting long, like you mentioned.
All right, and from a mental standpoint, it can be tough when you completely knock down that first hurdle, especially in a big final like this. The key thing is to try to stay as square and on balance as possible. And for me, I was confident that as long as I was able to get through the hurdles and I was clean towards the end, no one would be able to catch me. But part of that was also running the 4x1 15 minutes before, so I had just did a sprint start instead of a hurdle start, so that kind of caused me to get close to that first hurdle as well.
Yeah, the warm-up was completely different that day just because he had to do hurdle warm-up before the 4x1. Then he had about a 15-minute break and then the hurdle. So our normal warm-up is about an hour and a half, I would say, of him doing, taking his time doing his dynamic drills, to doing some hurdle skipper drills, then doing our normal 3-step drills and stuff like that, leading into blocks. And so he wasn't able to do that to the full length. It was about 15 minutes of a true hurdle workout, then doing handoffs. And so it was a little bit different. And you could tell for him, he's a very good technician, but he was very sloppy at this race. But he got the job done. Still ran a 13.3, fastest time ever on Michigan soil. So.
No, 13.25.
Oh, 13.25?
In the final, yeah.
13.25.
Come on, D. Go! Come on!
And this is the one.
Yeah.
I think in the last 3 races you ran, someone's been, last 4, because he was in the prelims too.
Yeah.
So last 4 races he's ran, he's had someone false start or jump a little bit. Now these 2 races at the national meet were not called back. No one was kicked out of the race. But when someone false starts, how do you feel when someone false starts next to you?
I mean, with knowing that I've had problems with false starts in the past, like indoors 2 years ago, I false started and got ejected from the race. So it always kind of makes my heart pump a little different when there's a false start. Here, it wasn't. I didn't react how I normally did because I knew I had a super late reaction, so I knew no matter what, it wasn't me that was getting the false start call. And being a 5th-year guy amongst some younger hurdlers, I knew that might mess with their head more than me, so personally I took that as an advantage. But in normal races, especially after I got false started, it used to play with my head a lot.
Yeah, and from a coaching standpoint, you're obviously thinking like, hope I win my guy. You're a little nervous, and then every coach else, keep it together, or some type of motivation to get their nerves kind of calm. But with this race, obviously we've been kind of going for this. Indoors did not go the way we had hoped, but outdoors, I think we made a lot of good adjustments to get them ready for this stage. And one thing I think the commentator said is that he's a very seasoned runner. So when that kind of went on, I wasn't too worried about him. Warming up that day, he was pretty calm. I think according to him and our volunteer assistant coach, I was probably the more nervous person that day compared to those guys, but I don't think that's true or not, but whatever. So in this race, we're looking at here, Darius gets out very well. We'll just walk you through this race. He's very efficient. We talked about his trail leg coming down underneath him. You'll see a guy in a lane over, 2 lanes over from him, get a little tense, clip a hurdle, and that really cost him a chance to be in the mix for the title. But with Darius's, seasoned, seasoned, what do you want to call it, reputation, being an older hurdler, that he was really calm in the mix of things, and he's able to get revenge on the guy you saw in the first clip that got him at the line by a thousandth of a second. So walk through this race, thank God we got a restart because, like you said, his first one was not as good. I could not tell from my angle, besides the fact when he said, "Coach, I was cooked," or I was not in a good position coming out that first start. But I knew he was a little late, but at the same time, I knew he didn't false start. I just didn't know, how big of a disadvantage he would have been at to that first hurdle. But he had a good start to warm-ups. We gave him a different cue because he was having some inconsistency in the warm-up on Wednesday and then on Friday of coming too high in the set position with his butt. And so I just said, hey, make sure when your heel hits the block, you just stay where you're at. You should be good. And I think that's what won. That's all me. It was all me right there.
You can have credit for that.
I got credit for that. But so in this one, I think he has a good reaction. You watch where he touches down. Off the first hurdle, he's definitely between the top 3 guys for sure.
Which doesn't normally happen for me.
So going to the second one, you're looking pretty good. What are you thinking at this point? After that first hurdle, you were clean, didn't hit anything. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. After the first one and the reaction wasn't that good, I was very excited to see that I was off the first hurdle and I'm completely even with everyone because normally I come on more in this middle section of the race, so to already be where I want at this point in the race, I knew there was a good chance that I'd be able to win.
And if you remember, we talked about his trail leg hitting underneath him a lot. If you watch this next hurdle, it's perfect, in the perfect position. So when he gets down here, that trail will hit right underneath the center of his body, and that's what we want every single time. And you can tell this guy over here, his shoulders are kind of turned, where Darius is more square to the next hurdle, so he's not having to readjust. He's not using very much energy to keep himself in line. He's very smooth into the next hurdle. About here, how are you feeling?
Right here, I know it's neck and neck, and then I could feel right there that Devion Wilson had hit his trail leg. Well, I didn't know at the time what he hit, but I could feel him back off, and at this point, I'm running completely blind. It looks close in the race, but in my peripheral, I can't see anyone. And Jacoby Thorpe obviously had the fastest time going into prelims and is known to close pretty hard, so all I'm thinking at this point is just stay smooth and get through that line, because in my head, as of right now, the national championship is 2 hurdles away and I can't see anyone, so I was feeling pretty good.
And for me, so I was a hurdle 8. That's where I stayed up because I knew when he passed me, I saw him have his surge. And he was already in the lead, so I felt pretty confident in him at that point. So he's at hurdle 8. I will say, after the first kind of 100 times I've seen this clip on our Instagram page, I was more of a fan than I was a coach at that time. So now when I was able to actually look at it, Darius did turn up a little bit towards the end, but I thought he still maintained a good form, and he finished really well. But we talked about that. We thought you could have still relaxed a little bit, but it's kind of tough for the national championship. You got to do what you got to do to win. So He did that.
And then I've been getting told by our assistant sprint coach all year, she's been getting mad at me for not sprinting through the line. So I made sure in this race to lean as much as I possibly could. I would have fell over on my face if I would have leaned anymore. So this is the race that took me to finally run completely through the line. I didn't have much of a choice there.
And if you notice, he doesn't really hit a hurdle at all. Again, he gets through all 10 very smoothly and does what he has to do. And I think for him, just kind of watching him and knowing that the critics out there were all picking Jacoby. The media feed was saying Jacoby's going to win. Darius may get second or third. I think he handled all those very well. It's been kind of all year for him, and when it mattered most, he came through, got the dub.
For me, that's the biggest stage and the biggest moment, and every athlete has those dreams of coming through in the big moment, and not always does that happen. So it's like really reassuring to yourself that you have those aspirations and things like that, and to know that you put in the work, because plenty of times you can feel like you put in enough work and all that, and you get to that meet and things don't work out your way. So to be able to come through in that moment, not only for myself and for Lincoln and for my family and everything, there's like no better feeling.
You know, I think this is an event where you don't have to be the fastest, you don't have to be necessarily the tallest, but you got to have a good combination of both. And I think you also have a sense of calmness, and I think that's where Darius kind of sticks out, where he never gets too rattled. He's always very calm, and when disaster's going on around him, he maintains his focus on the next hurdle. And I think, you know, you got to have someone like that. And for him, you know, he's always been very calm demeanor, and I think that's what kind of helps him be successful in the hurdles, because people can false start, they can knock over a hurdle. I mean, at regional, same thing happened. The guy flipped a hurdle over his head, and there's as calm as can be, and just finishes the race. So I think you got to be calm and collected. I think it's how you. And then the other part is, you know, I like that he was a football player, because he kind of has like that tenacity where he's not scared to attack the hurdle too. He's ready to run through it, which I think is a good combination of being calm, tenacious, and just, you know, you got to be a dog in you a little bit too. So these 4 races were here, kind of Darius' journey throughout the season, ultimately leading to him being the national champion. You know, go down as one of the best hurdlers ever at the NCAA level. And currently, he's obviously trying to become a professional athlete. He has people calling his phone like no other. So should be very excited for the hometown kid from Lincoln. He's going to do some great things for you guys and make you guys very proud.